What if the most decisive battle in a war is the one that's never fought? What if one weapon could be so dominant that its mere presence off a coast could change political outcomes and rewrite a conflict before a single shot is fired? This is the world of the modern supercarrier. A single American Ford-class carrier strike group commands an air force more powerful than most entire countries. It's a 100,000-ton message of dominance, a floating piece of sovereign territory that projects power anywhere on Earth. But this is about more than just firepower. It's about how one ship can make the idea of a fair fight totally obsolete. So how does this happen? When we talk about supercarriers, we're not talking about just big ships that launch planes. We're talking about the absolute peak of naval engineering, floating cities built for one purpose, projecting power across the globe. These ships, led by the U.S. Navy's new Gerald R. Ford class, are more than just warships. They are tools of national will. Their influence stretches far beyond any single battlefield, creating a strategic reality where just deploying one can be as decisive as an invasion. To understand how these new supercarriers make war so profoundly one-sided, we need to look at how they came to be, the revolutionary tech that sets them apart, and the ripple effects they create across the world. To really get why today's supercarriers are such game changers, we have to look back. The story of the aircraft carrier is the story of a strategic revolution. For centuries, the battleship was the undisputed king of the seas, with its massive guns that all changed on December 7, 1941. The attack on Pearl Harbor taught a brutal lesson. Naval power wasn't about the biggest guns anymore, but about who could strike from the farthest away. The aircraft carrier had officially dethroned the battleship. During the Cold War, this new reality took shape. The United States, needing to project power across two oceans, started building what we now call supercarriers, beginning with the Forrestal class in the 1950s. These ships just kept getting bigger, faster, and more lethal. The real turning point was the USS Enterprise in the 1960s. The first carrier powered by a nuclear reactor, giving it virtually unlimited range and endurance. This evolution led to the Nimitz-class, a fleet of 10 supercarriers that have been the foundation of American naval power for nearly 50 years. Each step was about more reach, more planes in the air, and more power. This is the legacy the new USS Gerald R. Ford is built, and a legacy that doesn't just aim to win a fight, but to change how the fight is even fought. So what separates a brand new Ford-class carrier from the already legendary Nimitz-class? It's not just an upgrade. It's a fundamental leap in technology that redefines what a carrier can do. First, there's the way it launches and lands planes. For decades, carriers used steam-powered catapults. The Ford class replaces that with the electromagnetic aircraft launch system, or EMALS. Think of it as a massive railgun that smoothly flings aircraft off the deck. This controlled launch is less stressful on the planes and lets the carrier handle everything from heavy, bomb-laden fighters to the lightweight drones that are key to the future of air warfare. Then there's the power. The new A-1B nuclear reactors on the Ford class generate a massive amount of electricity, significantly more than the reactors on the Nimitz class. And that extra juice isn't just for keeping the lights on. The Ford was designed with the future in mind, with enough power reserves to one day integrate directed energy weapons like high-powered lasers and microwave systems. Finally, a supercarrier never fights alone. It's the heart of a carrier strike group. a multi-layered fortress of destroyers, cruisers, and submarines. This moving shield uses advanced radar like the Aegis combat system and is armed with dozens of interceptor missiles to handle threats from the air, the surface, and underwater. It's this combination, the carrier's own tech and the nearly impenetrable bubble of its strike group, that makes it such an unbalanced force. This incredible technological edge translates directly into strategic power, creating a situation that's fundamentally unfair for any opponent. The most powerful effect is deterrence by presence. When a crisis starts heating up somewhere in the world, one of the first questions in Washington is, where are the carriers? Moving a carrier strike group into a region is one of the strongest signals a nation can send. It tells allies we've got your back and puts adversaries on immediate notice. When the USS Gerald R. was sent to the eastern Mediterranean after the October 7th attacks on Israel, it was a clear signal to other countries not to escalate the conflict. This is gunboat diplomacy for the 21st century, but with a 100,000-ton nuclear-powered warship carrying more than 75 advanced aircraft. No shots have to be fired. The strategic reality has already been changed. This creates a massive asymmetry of power. Almost no other nation has the money, technology, and decades of experience it takes to build and run a supercarrier. So they are forced into a different kind of war. They know they can't win a head-to-head naval battle, so they don't even try. Instead, they invest in so-called carrier killer weapons, part of a strategy known as anti-access area denial. This involves developing drone swarms, ultra-quiet submarines, and most importantly, long-range, hypersonic, and anti-ship ballistic missiles. China's DF-21D missile, for instance, is built specifically to target carriers from more than 1,000 miles away, trying to create a no-go zone for the carrier itself. In this sense, the supercarrier dictates the entire arms race. The fight becomes about a single missile versus a ship, not a fleet versus a fleet. But here's the paradox. Because a supercarrier is so valuable and so symbolic, it's also the biggest target on the planet. The political and military fallout from losing a multi-billion-dollar ship and its thousands of sailors would be catastrophic. Critics argue that the rise of hypersonic weapons, which travel at over 5 times the speed of sound, could make carriers more vulnerable, especially against a competitor like China or Russia. The defenders have only minutes, sometimes seconds, to detect, track, and shoot down these threats. This global chess match isn't just a theory. It's happening on the world's oceans every day. The United States currently has 11 supercarriers, 10 Nimitz-class, and the new USS Gerald R. This fleet lets the U.S. keep a carrier group in several key regions at once, something no other country can do. In response, other world powers are racing to build their own carriers. China's naval growth has been staggering. A decade ago, it had 0 carriers. Today, it has 3. Its newest is the Fujian, which represents a massive technological jump for the Chinese Navy. It's the first carrier built outside the U.S. with an electromagnetic catapult system similar to the Ford's. While the Fujian is still undergoing sea trials and isn't nuclear powered like its American counterparts, its development is a clear sign of China's ambition to challenge U.S. naval dominance, at least in the Western Pacific. This directly affects the strategy of American allies. Countries like Japan, South Korea, and NATO members often design their navies to work with U.S. carrier strike groups. They might focus on anti-submarine ships or minesweepers, relying on the American supercarrier to be the ultimate security blanket. This complex chess game on the world's oceans is always evolving, with hypersonic missiles and autonomous drone swarms becoming a reality. The supercarrier's reign is facing new and serious challenges. So, I want to know what you think. What is the single biggest threat to a supercarrier today? Is it the speed of a hypersonic missile, the stealth of a modern submarine, or something else entirely? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. So, how do new supercarriers make war unfair? They do it by completely altering the strategic environment before the battle even begins. They create a clear line between the nations that can project this kind of power and those that can only react to it. The supercarrier has made a balanced fleet-and-fleet naval battle almost impossible.